Mom clutched her forehead, stumbling a few steps before collapsing onto the couch. Her voice trembled as she looked toward the front door, which still swayed slightly from the force of being slammed shut. Oh God, she ran away. What do we do now? Dad stood silently at first, his eyes glistened and his jaw was clenched tight as if he was holding back a scream. He turned toward his wife with disbelief and fury. I told you we shouldn't have arranged her marriage like this. She didn't love him, she didn't want us. His voice grew louder, almost echoing off the walls. But you were too focused on his family's money. You saw wealth, power, and you ignored everything else. And now she's gone. On the wedding day, I didn't think she would go this far. I didn't think she would. His voice grew louder, almost echoing off the walls. Her words choked in her throat as tears finally slipped down her cheeks. She looked up at her husband, her expression a blend of fear and regret. What are we supposed to tell them? The media, their family, everyone's going to talk. The shame is going to destroy us. Mom looked around, panic surging through her chest. Her eyes scanned the room until they stopped at a small figure near the staircase. There stood Vine, barely 16 years old. She clutched her bunny plush tightly. Her big, curious eyes blinking up at her parents, she had no idea what was happening, only that something felt wrong. She tilted her head slightly, confused but adorable in her innocence. I have an idea. Her voice dropped into a low, calm tone, too calm. Dad followed her gaze and immediately stepped in front of her, shaking his head. No, you can't be serious. She's just a child. We don't have a choice. That family won't let this go, and we will be ruined. Wine took a small step back as her mother slowly approached her, smiling gently but with something strange in her eyes. A smile that didn't reach her heart. The aisle was beautiful, ivory petals lined the aisle, and candles flickered softly in crystal holders. The scent of jasmine and rose filled the air. Wine stood at the altar dressed in an elegant white gown. Her hands trembled slightly as she gripped the bouquet. She was older now, barely out of her teens, but far too young for this. Then her eyes lifted and her breath catch in her throat. The groom was not standing, he was seated in a sleek black wheelchair. Posture perfect, gaze sharp, he was handsome, almost intimidatingly so, but his expression was blank, cold. A thin grey blanket covered his legs, and behind him stood a man in a tailored black suit, stoic. Respectful, Wine whispered softly to himself, stunned. He is in a wheelchair. The ceremony went on. Vows were exchanged with quiet words, robotic almost. Jungkook, the groom, never smiled. His voice was calm, deep, emotionless. When he slid the ring on her finger, he didn't even look her in the eyes. The kiss was not passionate, it was a formality. Everything about this marriage felt like a transaction, a deal neither of them had agreed to willingly. The air was crisp as Wine stood beside the car, feet getting with the hem of her dress. The silence was unreadable until the man from earlier approached her with a polite smile. Hello. Wine, or should I say Mrs. Joe now? Wine turned to him startled, then nodded awkwardly. You can just call me Wine, it's fine. I'm Jimin. I'm the master's personal secretary. I handle most of his affairs. It's nice to meet you, Jimin Shea. She gave a polite smile, but her eyes flickered toward Jungkook, who still sat motionless in the wheelchair, gazing ahead like she didn't exist. Jimin noticed the tension. He doesn't talk much, at least not in front of people he doesn't trust. He didn't even say two full sentences during the vows. That was actually a lot for him. The car ride was quiet. One sat beside Jungkook, her hands in her lap, eyes watching the scenery pass by. He didn't say a word. He didn't even glance at her. As the car pulled up, Wine's mouth opened slightly. The mansion was breathtaking. Massive gates, endless gardens, fountains that sparkled in the sun. This is where we are going to live. Jimin chuckled. It's more house than home. Really, you will get used to it. Jungkook remained silent as the driver opened the car door. He began to roll his wheelchair forward, but Vine instinctively stepped behind him and placed her hands gently on the handles. I don't need your pity. Leave it. Who said I pity you? I just want to get inside and change out of this dress before I met. He looked up at her briefly as if to say something, but then stopped. He turned his face forward and let her push. Jimin gave them both a small bow. I will be heading to the office now. There is a meeting with the Wangs at 3. Jungkook nodded without turning around. As they entered the mansion, Wine felt overwhelmed. High ceilings, chandeliers, marble floors, walls covered in art. It was another world. Beautiful but cold. Jungkook led her to his room without speaking and she followed quietly. Is this your room? No, ours. Wine looked at the bed, large, neatly made, untouched. She turned to face him. Look, I didn't ask for this, and I know you didn't either, but we are here now, so maybe we could stop treating each other like we're both made of thorns. Jungkook stared at her for a long moment. Do whatever you want, just don't expect anything from me. He turned his wheelchair toward the balcony and rolled away. Wine stood there alone in the center of the grand room. The silence was heavy, the dress suddenly felt too tight, the air too cold. She sat on the edge of the bed and whispered to herself, first a stranger, now a husband, and I don't even know his favorite color. Sometimes the prettiest weddings begin with the longest vows. Wine stepped inside the bathroom and sighed in relief as she unzipped the gown and let it slide down her body. The heavy dress had clung to her all day, and the silence with Jungkook had been even heavier. After shower, she slipped into a comfortable cotton dress, pale blue with tiny embroidered flowers on the sleeves. Her hair was damp after a quick rinse in the shower. She began drying it with a soft towel, humming softly to herself. As she stepped back into the bedroom, rubbing the towel through her wet hair, her eyes landed on Jungkook. He was still sitting on his wheelchair facing the bookshelf near the window, one hand half lifted as if he had been reaching for something. Do you need anything? He didn't even turn his head. His voice was curt. No, I don't need your help. Wine frowned, lowering the towel from her hair. She walked a little closer and tilted her head, watching him with curiosity. Why so mad? Her voice came out in a teasing lilt and she pouted playfully. He didn't answer. Wine giggled a little and looked around. You want to take a shower? Might make you feel better. Jungkook's voice was sharp. No, I'm waiting for Jimin. He will help me. Wine blinked, then smiled cheekily. But Jimin went to a meeting now. He won't be back soon. Let me help you. She began walking toward him, towel still draped around her neck. Her steps were light, her expectation innocent but determined. Don't come near me. He said it firmly, but his voice wavered ever so lightly. Wines meant, don't be such a bum. You will catch a cold if you sit around like that. Before he could protest again, she grabbed the handles of the wheelchair and began pushing him toward the bathroom. Stream curled in the air as warm water filled the large walk-in shower. Wine helped him onto the seat installed beneath the rainfall showered head, keeping his black cotton shorts on. She tied her hair into a messy bun and rolled up her sleeves. She grabbed the shampoo bottle with a mischievous smile. Let's make you smell nice, like a flower prince. Jungkook rolled his eyes but said nothing. He sat still, letting her apply the shampoo. Her fingers moved gently through his hair, massaging the lathering slow, circular motions. She was humming again, off key but sweet. Her touch was light, almost ticklish, and the scent of jasmine filled the air. Something inside him stirred. She was so unaware, so free of hesitation, just a 16-year-old girl helping someone without a trace of judgment. But her warmth, her nearness, it twisted something deep in his chest. Then suddenly, wow, her foot slipped on a patch of water. She let out a squeal as she fell backwards, arms flailing for balance before her back would hit the floor. Strong arms catch her. Jungkook had grabbed her wrist and waist, pulling her quickly toward him. She landed on his lap, just slightly having eyes wide from shock. For a moment, everything stopped. Jungkook's hand rested against her back. He looked down, and his eyes fell on her lips, slightly parted, soft, a natural flush of hot pink. His thumb slowly traced along her bottom lip, warm, smooth, real, no makeup, just her. She blinked, stunned, eyes looking up at him. Then, my eyes, the shampoo is burning. The moment shattered like glass, he gritted his teeth and leaned back, squeezing his eyes shut. Wine snapped back to reality. Oh no, wait, don't rub your eyes. She quickly leaned over him, taking the shower head in her hands. She tilted his head back carefully and rinsed out the foam. Her fingers brushed his cheeks as she tried to clear his face. Stop moving, you will make it worse. He groaned under his breath but obeyed. She washed all the shampoo out gently, then grabbed a fresh towel and began drying his hair. Once the water stopped, she knelt beside him, dabbing his shoulders and arms dry. Her hands were small but careful, tender. Jungkook didn't look at her. His face was unreadable again. Back in the bedroom, Wine helped him back into the wheelchair and wheeled him near the bed. She tucked the towel over his shoulders like a shawl, drying the last of the water. He stared out the window silent. Wine stood behind him, stretching her arms. Well, now you don't smell like anger and bitterness anymore. Progress. He glanced at her sideways. You are annoying. Wine grinned, then walked past him toward her side of the bed. Yeah, but you would be sitting here with shampoo in your eyes if I wasn't. He didn't answer, but after she lay down, eyes fluttering shut, he looked at her once more. So loud, so stubborn, so young, yet warm. His fingers curled slightly on the armrest of the wheelchair. Somewhere inside, something soft cracked open. The ice doesn't always shatter with thunder. Sometimes it melts quietly. A month had passed since the awkward yet unforgettable bathroom incident. Since then, the silence between Wine and Jungkook had softened. Though Jungkook still didn't say much, he had stopped snapping at her every sentence. Wine was still her bright, jolly self, chattering, humming, laughing at her own jokes. And now he didn't roll his eyes anymore. Sometimes he even listened. She didn't expect much from him, but every time he let her push his wheelchair or ate the breakfast she made, she smiled like it meant the world. That morning, White twirled in front of the mirror, admiring her soft floral frock. The pastel pink and yellow blossoms matched her cheerful aura. Her hair was tied in loose waves, her lips naturally pink, her cheeks glowing with her usual warmth. Chungo, let's go out today. I want pasta, fancy pasta. No, pretty please, just for an hour. I wore the dress you liked last time. He looked up from his book. Bro art. I never said I liked it, but you stared at it for 10 seconds. That counts. He sighed, placing the book down with a soft thud. Fine. Wine blinked. Really? You will keep pestering me otherwise. Wine clapped excitedly and grabbed her little purse. Jimin dropped them at the entrance before leaving for a business meeting. Wine held Jungkook's hand on the wheelchair as they stepped into the luxurious restaurant. The place was warm, elegant, gold lighting, rich velvet curtains, soft piano in the background, but then Wine's steps came to a sudden halt. Her smile faded. There, crouched on the floor in a worn out black and white maid uniform, was Bhumi, her older sister. Bhumi was mopping the floor near the entrance, her once shiny hair now dull, her skin pale. Her eyes flicked up briefly, then froze. Wine's heart twisted. She rushed forward. Unni, how are you? I miss you so much. She dropped to her knees and wrapped her arms around her sister tightly, tears springing to her eyes. Bhumi slowly lifted her head. When her eyes found Jungkook, her entire expression twisted, her jaw clenched. Then, without warning, she shoved Wine hard. Don't touch me. Wine stumbled back in shock, hitting the polished floor. Her eyes widened as her voice trembled. What happened? Bhumi stood up, gripping the mob like it was the only thing grounding her. What happened? You happened. Now you show up like some doll in your designer dress, married to him living in luxury while I, your older sister, am scrubbing floors. No, that's not. Don't lie, you came to laugh, didn't you? To see my misery? Is this what you wanted? No, Winnie, I swear I didn't even know. Stop acting innocent. She suddenly grabbed Wine's hair, yanking it painfully. Everything is because of you. If you had not, before she could finish, her grip was suddenly torn away. Bhumi froze. Chungu was standing on his feet. Bhumi staggered back, her eyes wide in shock. You can walk. Chungu didn't answer, his arm wrapped protectively around Wine, who was trembling, tears clinging to her lashes. His other hand gently cupped the back of her head. Then, before saying a word, he leaned down and kissed her forehead softly, Accordingly, Wine closed her eyes. Jungkook, wait, I didn't know. Please start over, so let's start over. I was wrong. I'm sorry. She stepped toward him, desperation creeping into her voice. I made a mistake, I know, but I'm here now. Let's get married. Like before, I loved you, didn't I? Jungkook turned toward her, his voice sharper than glass. Loved me. He took a slow step forward. His tone was cold, detached, yet cutting. You ran away with a man for money. You left your family to deal with the consequences. And now that you have been thrown away, you come back with fake apologize. Bhumi opened her mouth, but no words came. You didn't love me. You loved the idea of power. And now that I have everything, you are crawling back. I was scared. You should be scared now because I'm not the man you once left. And he turned, placing a hand on Wine's back as he drew her close. She is the only woman I love now. Bhumi's face crumbled in disbelief as they walked away. Heads turned, whispers filled the restaurant. But Wine didn't hear any of them. She just looked at Jungkook, who was walking, not limping, not struggling, walking tall beside her. The sunlight poured down as they stepped outside. Jungkook reached for the car door but paused when he heard her small voice. Why did you hide it from me? He turned, leaning against the car, his voice low but calm. Because I wanted to marry someone who didn't care about what I had or what I lacked. He looked into her eyes, serious now. I wanted a pure, kind hearted woman, someone who wouldn't run at the side of difficulty, someone who would stay even if I couldn't walk. Wine's eyes shimmered with emotion. You married me without even knowing me. You were forced, yes, but you still helped me. You smiled, you were always kind even when I was cold. He paused. Bhumi ran away with a man for comfort, and now that he's betrayed her, she's cleaning restaurant floors. That's not on you, that's her path. Wine looked up at him, biting her lips softly. So you really love me? Jungkook didn't hesitate. I didn't plan to, but yes, I do. Then he gently brushed a strand of hair behind her ear and leaned forward. And I'm not hiding anything anymore. She smiled, cheeks flushing. Okay then, let's go home, husband. He smirked gladly. Wife, they got into the car and drove off. Sometimes love doesn't arrive like a thunderstorm. Sometimes it's the sunshine after the longest winter.